Happiness in the City. This is Barbara, and I'm just so honored to have this connection with you, and we'll focus our attention on pursuit of happiness. All the wonderful things, comforting things, beautiful things, noble things that we need and our cities need. Some of you notice that I play a lot of Jewish music on my shows. It's because I really, truly love Israel. It's a long story how God connected me with Israel, but it brings a lot of comfort, joy, and healing to my heart to experience Jewish culture, music, Israeli achievements. It's very important for me. And today I wanted to play this song because it's just so beautiful, and I wanted you to experience it too.
Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Hinei hinei lo yanu velo yisham, lo yanu velo yisham, shoyme Yisrael. Hinei hinei lo yanu velo yisham, lo yanu velo yisham, shoyme Yisrael. Shov shokat shoyme. Im Hashem lo yirne ba'is, Shalom lo boina boy, Im Hashem lo yishmari, Shov shokat shoyme. Hinei hinei lo
amazingly beautiful, joyful song, and that is the tone that I'm looking for, because we have so much sadness and so much anger in the world today, and that is not the best way to organize social relationships, because the strange thing about it is that very angry people filled with strange wrath are angry with other angry people filled with strange wrath. And it is a strife that is really not necessary in this beautiful world. We can have joyful way of interacting. We can learn to dance together, to be in harmony with each other, to learn to forgive each other as God is forgiving us, our trespasses. So we have to learn loving ways. The most strange way that happened in the judicial system is that people demand love, force love. You cannot force somebody to love you. Even God doesn't do it. God gives you choice. You either love him or don't love him. Of course, there are consequences for not loving God, but they don't happen until the last moment we are here on breath. That's when the judgment comes. So even God respects and loves us so much that he gives us the chance of choice to love him even in the last moment of our life here. But what is happening today in the justice system is people are being charged and punished for being unloving. That is not the way of peace. The way of peace is you have to acknowledge the fact that people disagree with each other, that we have diverse opinions, and those opinions are not stable. They change in the course of our lives. As we learn new things, we meet other people, we lose certain things that were dear to us. We have to revalue what is happening in our lives. So in our lives, we have to often disagree with ourselves, because what we want is something that we cannot do. So it doesn't mean we hate ourselves. It simply means that there are certain cognitive processes that we need to apply to deal with certain things that we would like to do but we can't. And then, of course, there's faith, because faith in God of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac is so enormous that God can come in and help us with limits of the natural law and civil law, and miraculously show better ways and show us miraculous solutions to things that we think are impossible. But it doesn't happen because we take God to court and demand this from him. I mean, God would just laugh at you. You cannot put justice demands in the human context on divine power. He created the justice system to make our lives easier, but not to use the justice system as a weapon to achieve injustice. So we have to have the right spirit in the system of justice in our laws in order for people to be pleased and to be happy. It is very important for people to be happy, because if they are not happy, then they start losing interest in life. They fall into depression. So pursuit of happiness is not a luxury. It is something as important as life and liberty. That's why in American founding, in Declaration of Independence, we have a very powerful declaration of rights. Right to life, right to liberty, and right to pursuit of happiness. Something happened in the 70s that in many ways altered the power of those rights to life, to liberty, and to pursuit of happiness. The concept of human rights was introduced, but the concept of human rights is very broad because humans end up being dead. That is also something that is happening. So that would not be what right to life focuses on. I prefer the original definition of rights, right to life, right to liberty, and right to pursuit of happiness. Because now we have a situation that some people perverted the human rights to right of death, and so many people in California and some other places are dying because in medical profession, instead of comforting them and waiting for nature to take its course, which will happen anyway inevitably, those people are murdered. So there is violation of right to life by application of a different understanding of what right of human beings is. So we have to rethink the concept and identity of American powerful life and powerful liberty and powerful pursuit of happiness in contrast to countries and places that do not understand it. Many of those other places understand the concept of human rights, but they do not understand the concept of rights in the context of liberty and pursuit of happiness and life. And I think that is more important, because if you affirm a human right and then you kill somebody, you violate that person's right to life. And vice versa, if that person were to damage you, invoking human rights, the same thing would happen. So, after thinking a lot about diverse types of rights, I think that we should come back to the original meaning of rights: right to life, right to liberty, and right to pursuit of happiness. There is a lot of conflict today about the meaning of life, whose lives are important. And of course, there is a commandment, thou shalt not murder. So God already gave an answer. Everybody's life is important. And if that life is murdered, God will bring that person who committed that crime to be accountable for it. So the answer from the point of view of biblical tradition is very clear on that. We have a right to life given to us already also in the Ten Commandments. But everything around the Ten Commandments is in the context of God's love. So if someone were to take those commandments into a godless court and apply them, they will be perverted. They will not have the same meaning as if applied by divine love and wisdom of God. So we have to be very careful how we define the laws, how we apply them, and how we create relationships between each other that demand love. I don't like that. There is love and there is hate. And then there is speech. Speech is simply speech. It's logos. It's our language. You don't say love English and hate English. You don't say love Russian, love Polish. You don't say love French, hate French. That would sound ridiculous. And that's how ridiculous it is to say something is love speech and something else is hate speech. It doesn't make any sense. When a person commits a crime, it's either a crime or it is not. Speech is just speech. Whatever happens, it is speech. So if someone tells another person to tells something to the other person to force that person to be silent, that is simply a violation of that person's right to life, because we are born with a gift of speech. There is no choice in God's law between gift of natural born speech and no speech. Someone who comes in and silences that person by accusing that person of using hate speech is actually in violation of the law and right to liberty. We have to be very careful about those words, love speech, hate speech, because they destroy logos, they destroy thinking, they destroy cognition. We have to understand that thinking, cognition, language, logos are values of communication. And when we do not like what some people say, we have to have measures of peace to bring that communication to peace, to peaceful connection, to better understanding, because without that understanding, there is war between those people who are being silenced and those who are silencing them. And the war is not going to spiral into peace. The war of that kind spirals into death. And we have a situation in which America is bleeding unnecessarily. And I pray to God for God to restore the right to life of all Americans, all people connected with America. We need to have the shield on our lives. We have a right to life given to us by the very foundation of America's Constitution. And we need to affirm that and use this as foundation for anything else. Because if we get into conflicts in which we lose lives, then we have bleeding of America, and that causes more bleeding and more pain and horrible things. And we have blessing of God Himself. Spirit of America is Spirit of God, because America was founded on Spirit of God, and we can have that shield on our lives from the Spirit of God. And that's what I ask you to affirm. I ask you to affirm the power of brotherhood, the power of fraternity, the power of sisterhood, the power to love one another with gaze of affection, no matter what we say and how and where. And then when there are moments in which we are filled with peace, then we enter conversations with our opponents and we start to understand the other side. We start to have discussions. We start to persuade others or be persuaded by them. But we do not have to achieve forced agreement until our logos, until our cognition understands the right way. And this may take a long time. It may not happen in this lifetime. It may happen after we see God and He explains certain things to us. But in the meantime, we are shielding our lives and we are shielding life of America and then have peace in the world. And that is very important foundation for us to regain power of life. And this is what America needs more than anything else. We need God, who created America, to restore within us life, to restore within us security, to give us shield over our lives, over our liberty, and over our pursuit of happiness, and to give us power that we will stop fighting wars that cause us to lose our lives. We need to have peace. And that's what I ask God for. But we will not have peace if we do not affirm the beauty and power of our natures. And that means the fact that we are born with language. And language is a tool and great ability and feature of our lives that makes us connect to God Himself, because Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Son of God, came on earth with human speech and He spoke human languages. So human languages are also blessed because of that. They are blessed by God Himself, by the power of love of God Himself. So as we are coming now to this beautiful week in which we celebrate the creation of this magnificent country, America, the United States of America, let's all focus on the greatest achievement of that creation, which is the Declaration of Rights. Rights to life, rights to liberty, and rights to pursuit of happiness. When we really powerfully understand the meaning of those rights, we connect to the most beautiful, majestic parts of America. And from that strength comes security, shield of love, and gaze of wisdom, and light that will show us the right way to interact with each other. So today I ask God for a miracle of life for America, to stop bleeding of America and Americans, that we will enter the next year with love and life and authority.